I still remember the exact moment I realized my husband knew about my affair. The strange part is, he never yelled. He never accused me. He never even acted angry. Instead, he made a suggestion that completely destroyed me. But the story really started about 7 months earlier. At the time, my marriage to Daniel had already started to feel stale. We had been together for 9 years and married for 6, and our life had settled into a routine that never changed. Daniel was a good husband by most standards. He worked hard, paid the bills on time, and never forgot important dates. He cooked dinner half the time and fixed anything in the house that broke. But he was quiet, predictable. Somewhere along the way, I started telling myself that I was bored, that I needed something more exciting. Looking back now, I realize how ridiculous that sounds. But at the time, it felt real. That's when Ryan entered the picture. Ryan worked in a different department at the company where I worked. We met during a project that forced our teams to collaborate for a few weeks. From the beginning, he was the opposite of Daniel. Ryan was loud, confident, and charismatic. He had a way of making every conversation feel electric. The first time we talked alone, he told me something that stuck in my head. You seem like someone who's meant for more than a quiet life. I should have brushed it off. Instead, I started talking to him more. Soon we were messaging each other every day. At first, the conversations were innocent. Then the flirting started. Then the late-night texts. Then one night after a work event, we ended up sitting in his car in the parking lot for almost an hour. That's when he kissed me. And I didn't stop him. Once that line was crossed, everything escalated quickly. We started meeting during lunch breaks, then after work. Eventually, we started booking hotel rooms. Ryan constantly told me I deserved better than the life I had with Daniel. "You're wasting yourself in that marriage," he said one night. "You deserve someone who actually makes you feel alive." And slowly, I started believing it. For months, I lived a double life. At home, I was Daniel's wife. At work, I was Ryan's secret. The lies became routine. Working late, team dinners, weekend work meetings. Daniel never questioned any of it. At least, that's what I thought. Then one night, something strange happened. Daniel and I were sitting on the couch watching TV when he suddenly muted the screen. "Can I ask you something?" he said. My stomach tightened immediately. "Sure." He studied my face for a moment before speaking. "Would you ever consider an open living arrangement?" I blinked. "What?" "Like, having someone else live with us." My mind immediately started racing. Why would we do that? Daniel shrugged slightly. "Housing is expensive, and sometimes having another person around can make life more interesting." His tone was so casual that it almost sounded like he was talking about getting a roommate. I forced a small laugh. "That's a weird idea." He didn't argue, just nodded. "Maybe." The conversation ended there, but 2 days later he brought it up again. "I actually have someone in mind," he said while we were eating dinner. My fork froze halfway to my mouth. "Who?" He looked directly at me. "Ryan." For a second, I thought I misheard him. "Ryan from my work?" "Yeah." My heart started pounding so hard I thought he could hear it. "How do you even know Ryan?" Daniel smiled slightly. "I met him." Everything inside me went cold. "When?" "Last week." I stared at him. "What do you mean you met him?" I asked him to get coffee with me. The room suddenly felt too small. "Why would you do that?" Daniel leaned back in his chair. "Because he's been sleeping with my wife." My heart stopped. I've known for about 4 months." I couldn't breathe. 4 months. That meant he had known almost the entire time. "Why didn't you say anything?" I whispered. Daniel shrugged. "I was curious." "About what?" "About how far you'd take it." The guilt hit me all at once. "Daniel, I'm sorry." but he raised his hand. I'm not angry. That confused me even more. What? He nodded toward my phone sitting on the table. I read your messages. I know everything. I felt like I was going to be sick. And that's why you want him to move in? I asked. Daniel smiled. Exactly. The calmness in his voice was terrifying. You and Ryan clearly want to be together, he continued. So why not make it easier? This isn't funny, I said. I'm not joking. You want my affair partner to live in our house? Daniel nodded. Seems practical. I didn't know what to say. Nothing about the situation made sense. Later that night, Ryan texted me. Your husband is insane. Apparently Daniel had already called him. Ryan told me Daniel had offered him the spare bedroom. When I read that message, I felt a wave of panic. Daniel wasn't reacting the way a normal husband would. There was no screaming, no anger, just calm acceptance. And somehow that was worse. Over the next few days, Daniel acted completely normal, like nothing had happened. Finally, I asked him directly, why are you doing this? He looked at me calmly. Because if Ryan is really better for you, then I'd rather see it up close. That sentence stuck with me. A week later, Ryan showed up at our house with a suitcase. The moment he walked inside, the reality of what we had done crashed over me. My husband stood there welcoming the man I had been cheating with. Thanks for coming, Daniel said. Ryan looked incredibly uncomfortable, but Daniel just smiled. And in that moment, I finally understood something terrifying. Daniel wasn't trying to save our marriage. He was letting it collapse in front of him, because he already knew it was over. And by the end of that week, so did I.